your own book on some sort of offense or defense or whatever you're running over there.
I don't know. Cause like you're not reinventing the wheel when you're coaching. You're kind of just picking and choosing some stuff that you already like and then just kind of making it your own. So I was like, that's why I tell the kids, I'm not going to lie to y'all and say, this is my stuff. I'm the smartest man alive. I was like, I'm not the smartest man, but I was like, I could put you in a good position to be successful,
Yeah, yeah. So you're the head coach now. Where are you at now?
We are at East Poinsett County down in Lepanto, Arkansas.
And this
It's a
is
2A program.
This is your first
head coaching gig,
job.
year 11 of coaching now. Yeah, we've been out of college that long.
Yeah, so for those that don't know Justin, so Justin and I went to Arkansas State together, and this is going to be a great podcast because a lot of former teammates listen or watch or they keep up with this, so they're gonna think this is awesome and funny all at the same time.
Yeah, because a lot of people y'all don't realize we lived together a year.
We did.
So there might be some stuff on there. Just get ready.
Yeah. Not only did we go to the same school, played ball, we're roommates. A lot of funny stories that we probably won't share on this particular podcast. No. But no, it's pretty cool. And so Justin, who head coach, been coaching for 11 years now, was so gracious to let Books for Guys. He helped us get into, where were you at last year?
Paragould. I was the defensive coordinator at Paragould.
Yep. And Justin helped Books for Guys get in to be a Player of the Week award provider for that team. And we were able to give books away to the student athletes that they decided earned the right to be that Player of the Week. And so forever grateful, as that was the first high school that Books for Guys worked with. And we've been able to parlay that into some others and have some more interested programs as we try and grow this out across the country. And talking with athletes and coaches, just as former athlete myself, that's kind of my passion and sweet spot, is working with more. And so seeing you, man, actually now you're a head coach. When you text me a couple months ago, you're like, hey man, we're going to re-up the Books for Guys. I'm a head coach now. Yeah. It's like, let's go.
Yeah, because I remember last year we kind of dropped the ball a few weeks into it after 2 or 3 times of doing it, just because we got to that heat of the schedule and one thing leading to another, and it was like, oh, we haven't been communicating right. The coaches here, like, that was kind of like put on the back burner. But now that I'm the head coach, I made it. I was like, no, we're going to do this because I think it's important. Like down here, especially, like, I don't know if any of these boys have ever read a book other than what they've been told to read in school,
Yeah.
So maybe it'll be a good way to open their eyes to some stuff.
Yeah. And it was a test program last year. It's just an idea that we were spinning up, and I appreciate you letting us try it. And it worked for a little bit. We were able to it was interesting to see what books kids pick when they get to pick.
Right.
Because I was laughing, man. I mean, obviously a lot of sports books get picked, which that's how I started reading. So you probably started reading too. We were actually laughing too when we talked about this last year. We were like, dude, we're sitting here on the phone talking about books. Who would have ever known?
And I remember that when we were living together, you were in there reading a book. I was like, man, you want to go do something? Oh, let me read this book. And I was like, reading a book? What are we doing? And you were like, no, like, I got to put you on this. It's a good one. And it's still, like, to this day, my favorite book. I kid you not, A Quiet Strength.
Yeah, Tony Dungy.
You put me on that book, and I've probably read it 2 or 3 times. Now, that couple more on top of it, but I always go back to A Quiet Strength, especially now that I'm in my coaching career. It's a good book to kind of, like, pick up some guidance and some strength on, and that's thanks to you. Put me on that one.
Well, that's kind of funny because the total opposite book of that, as far as coaching goes, I read the book The Junction Boys with Bear Bryant, and I'm like, Tony Dungy and Bear Bryant, 2 totally different approaches.
Totally different guys. But they could.
Yeah, all the same of entertainment from a reading standpoint. But no, man, it's really cool being able to do this because, I was kind of telling you about Books for Guys last year, and the whole point was like, man, I'd love to give young guys a chance to read something they actually want to read, because as you and me have experienced, if you read something you want to read, you kind of are more interested in reading more and more books that maybe are similar and maybe they lead you down different paths. But man, like you said, a lot of these kids, they're told they got to read this old novel or this old book that they just, man,
Romeo and Juliet. And how many
they just don't give a crap about it. And it kind of, I think it stunts their personal development and growth, because if they did get a chance to read something they like, maybe they jump in and all of a sudden, they're 4 and 5 years ahead of where they would be if they got to choose. And so that's kind of what we're building here. But dude, I would like to ask you just because again, man, I think that some of your players may listen to this and watch this. Some of your coaches may watch this. Other programs that we decide to work with may take a look at this. But dude, you gave me credit. Thank you for giving you an inspiration of Tony Dungy's book. But I mean, were you similar, man? Because I remember in college, like you didn't like to read at all, and I
Oh,
barely did. But when did that kick in? Because I know last year when I brought this up, you were like, "Dude, I got a stack of books on my desk," and I was like, "Really?"
yeah. And I still got them. I just moved here this summer. So like I've still got my stuff boxed up, but I've got like I got the Quiet Strength in there. Like I've read Rich Dad, Poor Dad, top selling book a couple years ago when I had my first kid. Took a lot from that. And then I've got like Tim Tebow's, like, so I picked up from Tony Dungy. I was like, all right, this is a lot more interesting than this stuff that they gave me in high school that I had to write a paper of. I think in my mind, if I know I don't have to write about it later, I'm going to be a lot more interested to pick it up and sit down and read. But I think what really got me going was the summer before JT was born, who's my oldest son. He is 5 now. Me and my wife, Laura, went to the beach and I read the whole Mamba mentality book right there on the beach. And she was sitting in her chair reading hers. And I was like, I just stopped and I put my book down and I was like, dang it, look at us. And she's like, what? I was like, we're like in our mid-20s and I'm enjoying myself sitting on the beach reading a book. And she's like, is that so bad? I was like, I just feel old, but I was like, this is nice. A couple of years ago, we'd have been hammering beers down the road, but I was like, no, we're relaxing. We're reading books. I was like, this is nice. This is adulthood. And I actually embraced it and embraced my age. And I started reading. That was that moment, that definitive moment that was like, all right, I could do this. I'm not bored of it. Let's go.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you said that because, dude, I was actually having this conversation last week, and I forgot who it was with, but it was someone who played sports at a high level, and we were kind of, as we're helping me kind of create the future of Books for Guys, we were sitting here, we're like, man, as athletes growing up, especially when we did, maybe things are a little bit different now, but reading is you kind of got picked on for reading, and if you were smart, like cool, but not really that cool, and but shift that, man. Like there's nothing better than being
Yeah. And that's,
comprehending something and being able to join in a conversation and actually know what you're talking about and know what other people are talking about. And then that kind of leads to some other cool things too. I was like, man, like there's nothing better than building a business. There's nothing better than making money. There's nothing better than being like, take your buddy out to lunch and pay for it. Take your parents out to eat and pay for it. Buying a
that's
nice
a
car,
flex. That's a
buying
flex.
a house, like all of that stuff though comes from being educated, learning how to do things, being curious and not just being a dumb jock, like there's so much to it. You look at these guys, I'm interviewing guys like David Pollock. There's all these other athletes that have written books too. You got Kirk Herbstreit. Like we all know who these guys are. But they're writing books, man. They're talking about knowledge and curiosity and all this stuff. And you're like, dude, that's the path I want young guys to follow, not the complete opposite.
Yeah, and that's where high schoolers are seeing now. Like they're watching all these former athletes being authors now, writing books, writing from their experiences. So maybe they could kind of get into that lifestyle of, all right, they were top dogs at their level and they're writing books and they enjoy reading. Let me try to see and be that same style, like push my life into that style. And maybe it could grasp, but some of them might get a chapter in and be like, "Not to hell with this," and never pick up a book again. But at least they tried.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And that's another thing too. We're kind of talking about Books for Guys too. Like, man, there's gonna be some books you just don't like. And that's part of the journey. You don't have to read from front to back every book you pick up. But once you find something that triggers and speaks to you and gives you something you can bite into and be like, oh, this resonates with me. Like, oh, I learned something here. I'm gonna apply the way I think about this. Or there's just so many cool things about it. But man, I'm curious to ask you because again, we grew up a little bit different. Social media kind of coming around wasn't that big, in junior high and high school for us. But what are you seeing in your kids and just some of the challenges that they're facing? Do you see a like desire to want to be better and learn, or is that kind of something you have to work with on a daily basis to get these kids and young men especially to like have the self-confidence to know they can do amazing things. And I know I'm kind of asking a little bit too, because you're at a smaller school in Arkansas. It's a little bit different than other places. So what do you see as a coach, and why are you so passionate about the impact and wanting to coach there?
Man, I'm glad you asked that because I just took a job at a completely different world than what I was at. I was at Paragould for 4 years at a bigger 5A program in the state. A lot more kids, not as talented athletically, down to EPC, who is a little 2A program, all the athletes in the world. But you could see how they approach school differently. Like my kids down here now are approaching like, oh, I'm just coming to school so I can play ball. I just want to play ball and go make it next level. But I'm got to remind them, all right, what's your GPA? I don't know. Like, see, that's something you need to know. But at Paragould, it was like, yeah, we're playing ball on the side, but coach, hey, I might be late to practice. I got to finish this assignment. So part of me as a coach is mad. Like, what do you mean you're late to practice? But then it's like, all right, he's on top of his studies. You know what I'm saying? But now getting down here, it's like trying to teach these guys, hey, you're a student athlete, not an athlete student. Student is always going to come first. If you don't have your grades, you're not going to be able to play anyway. So what does it matter? So just kind of helping them. And this first year, my goal is to stay on top of them with their grades and just like weekly check-ins with their teachers if I have to. Because this is a small school. It won't take me 5 minutes to go talk to every single teacher in the school and like cover all my players. And then going into off season doing platoons that I've done in the past where like they are in groups and they get points at the end of each week for their grades. So like their platoon leader, their captain will kind of like on Fridays check them, hey, let me see your grades. And it kind of serves as a self-accountability portion of it because I know at the end of off season, the winning platoon gets a big treat, gets something special. Like we've done stuff like hoodies with the logos on them or like a team dinner, like the winning platoon will get a steak and a baked potato and all the losing platoons get hot dogs and chips. Like make it worth their while to stay on top of their grades. And I've seen it done in the past, like kids over there huddled up. I was like, what are y'all doing? Checking grades, grade checks. So I was like, yeah, it's working. So we'll see if that works here at this smaller program. I'm hoping it clicks. I'm hoping it takes in. It might take a year or two, but I think if we could get these smaller areas more interested in their academics, it could kind of bring the Delta of Arkansas back up where it's been in the past. But I was like, I don't know if you've known, because I know you've been out of Arkansas a while now. This East Arkansas side is dying. Like people moving out, schools shutting down, businesses shutting down. And I honestly feel like it might be a lack of education. Like these people are graduating, not paying attention, just kind of squeaking by. And now letting these communities die because they can't do anything. They have to go off and do a trade somewhere.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, they've just kind of been pushed through the system of East Arkansas.
Yeah.
So at least if I could get our school on the right track, that's something. Hopefully other schools can do the same thing. But I think if you just find a way to get kids holding themselves accountable, that's just the first step into becoming a good, successful young man.
Yeah. Yeah, man, that's a good point. The world's changing fast, a
It's
lot
changing.
faster than it changed when we were going to school. And we're talking like AI, man, like jobs are changing very rapidly on what skill sets are needed. I mean, even going to college, that doesn't guarantee you're getting a job anymore. So you've got to make yourself as valuable and as smart as possible, especially in this ever-changing world, so that you can have relevancy and you can have work, you can provide for your family, and even guys that are kind of figuring it out, like it's scary for me because I don't know what next year is going to look like, or in 5 years, like I maybe used to have could have predicted.
Right.
It's different out there, and I know kids, man. I'm thinking back, like sometimes you have to just figure it out on your own. But when you have a coach that does speak to kid like you do, like you have a message you're trying to instill in them, they may not get it today, they may not get it next year, but I bet you in 5 years, 10 years down the road, they're gonna go, Coach
He
Lovell,
was right.
he had
He
a
was
point, and now it's clicking. Because I mean, I'm sure you do that too, man. You think of conversations when you were a kid growing up, and you're like, man, this is what they were talking about.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that because we were actually talking before we started about last time I came to Nashville. You were on the way out. Well, I was coming with a former player of mine. He's like late in his 20s, married. So me and my wife, him and his wife were coming to Nashville for the weekend, go away, play some golf. And we were driving, coming in. I don't even remember where we were, but we were just kind of talking. And he's like, and that's what these guys don't realize back home. It's like all they want to do is like walk the streets and blah, blah, blah. He goes, I think everything that you were honest about, though, however annoying it was, I think you were right. And I almost slammed on the brakes and looked at him like, see what I'm talking about? He goes, yeah, like it makes sense. Like you were preaching the little things. You were preaching attention to detail. I remember when you moved me into a position I didn't want to play. And at first I wanted to sulk about it and feel sorry for myself, but you just on me about like what's best for the team. Then when I finally graduated, same thing happened to me in my real job. They put me in a spot I didn't want to be in. Instead of quitting, I just sucked it up. I did it for a year. Now I'm in an even better spot. He goes, so everything that you were teaching us in football is like, I guess it kind of makes sense now. And I was like, dude, I'm so glad you said that. I swear I about slammed on the brakes. And I was like, I told you so. I told you so. Everything is bigger than football if you allow it to be.
Yeah. Yeah. And think about it, man. Like, even if you don't think these kids are listening, they are.
They're listening.
And they'll come back around. And it's probably not a better feeling as a coach, though, to hear someone say that to you and be
Oh,
like,
it's the
hey,
best. It's like,
you
of
hurt
all
me?
these years
You really
coaching,
hurt me?
of all these years coaching, at least one of them said that I did something right.
Yeah.
At least one of them, it stuck. And if it stuck with him, the others heard it. They might not be allowing themselves to actually embrace it, but they heard it.
Yeah. That's awesome, man. As your first going into your first year as a head coach, man, what's it? I'm just curious to know your experience from it, because I don't think people realize how hard of a position it is. And it doesn't matter if it's junior high, high school. College is way hard now with
Yeah.
all they got to deal with, and I don't even know how people do it. But you literally are, even at a small school, man, you're responsible for a lot of people, coaching staff, young men. You're balancing family at home, and you're trying to take care of a lot of people. But like, man, what's it like? Like, how do you go about your day to make sure that you have enough energy and focus that you can be in the moment with each of those people that are relying on you? How do you give what you need to the players? How do you give what you need to your coaches? And how do you give what you need to your family when you go home? How do you balance?
Man, I think that hour before I start and the hour after we finish, to me, is like the two most important hours of my day. Just kind of that first hour, getting everything lined up, getting everything ready, their clothes handed out, go over the practice plan of the day that I made the day before and just make sure it's right. Like communicating with coaches the day before, like who's going to be here, who's not, but just having that hour to get ready for it. And then at the end of practice, making sure everything's tidied up, cleaned up, kind of getting ready for the next day. Practice, here's what we covered today. Here's what we got to cover tomorrow. And that just takes a big load off of me. And when we talk about it, like everyone could kind of come in already knowing. Because unfortunately, I've been in a situation where coaches will be sent down 10 minutes before practice. And now we're just now talking about what we're going to do. And that is absolutely stressful.
Yeah.
I want to have that a day ahead of time. So it's like, all right, we ain't got to worry about it. That takes a load. Now I can relax at home.
Yeah.
Spend time with my kids, spend time with my wife instead of worrying about it. And then another thing I tell myself in coaching, I was like, once I leave here, I'm out of football mode. Like, I do all my stuff here. I'm out of now when season, a little bit different. I got to watch film at home. But like for the most part, all my planning and prepping is done here. So when I'm home, I'm fully aware of my family, my kids, because my kids are still young. They're 4 and 5. And they're always, daddy, let's do this. And I want to be able to do that. I had them at a young age so I could do that. And every now and then I'll catch myself laying down. I was like, no, I had a long day. And I'll just see them walk off. And I was like, dude, that is so crappy of me. Like, they get maybe 3 or 4 hours of a day with me. And now we got to start getting ready for bed. So I try to get up earlier to get that extra hour, stay 1 more hour to get ready so I'm not bringing it home. And I'm telling you, those 2 hours are the most important hours of my day because it opens up so much more for me, opens up so much more for my coaches and their families. And just that is like the ultimate balance. Those coaches that just kind of hop up in there and get ready to go that morning, I don't know how they do it. I can't do that.
Yeah. Well, it's cool that you have a perspective that allows, you got priorities in check. And I think that's cool because coaches, man, they can go like one or two directions. You've got the Tony Dungys who, sets limitations. You're like, hey, man, we don't, once we prep the prep, like we can't just keep going and going. Like at some
Right.
point, you're probably going to have a diminished return the longer you stay up here and the more you mentally try and stay in this zone. When really you should be spending time with your family, check out a little bit, refresh. And it's hard, man. You're wanting to do a good job. I'm sure you struggle sometimes with like
Yeah.
thinking about what's my 5 plays for Friday, or what's the other team doing this? Like, how do I make this kid as successful as
Yeah.
possible?
The
Oh, I've
ifs
got
and
5.
thens. That's the biggest thing. The if and then process of football drives me absolutely crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, it's hard. I can imagine. I mean, and I'm sitting here like, dude, I'm so fascinated by just like how you create a game plan and how you create plays. Like, I'm a football fanatic, but if you asked me to like create a playbook for an offense, I'd be like, dude, I don't even know where to start. Like, I have no idea what the tackle and guard should do. I'm just gonna throw it up and to the best athlete, but
Yeah,
it's
just you
so
go deep. Everyone go
yeah,
deep.
but it's so more integral and detailed to that, and you've gotta get all 11 guys doing the exact same thing, and then your coaches all have to be in alignment, play calling, situational football. It's like there's a lot of prep, and I mean, that's what you harped on, prep. I need the hour prep before, I need the hour wind down prep afterwards. It's just I don't think people realize the responsibility that a coach has, especially at the high school level, and just kind of why you need to have your priorities in check, or I could see where it gets out of
It can
balance
fast.
quickly.
Yeah. And that's another thing I remind them parents. I was like, I've got to do everything I can because y'all are relying on me with your boys. And it's like, other than the parents, I think the coaches, their high school coaches, see them more than anybody. So, like, having them up here in the summer working out and installing the new program has kind of been a new process for these guys because they've had the same head coach for 10 years and he just took another job. So, coming in, it's like, guys, we have to install, we have to get the terminology right. So, they're like, why are we up here all summer? Well, y'all have had the luxury of having the same guy all summer. So, y'all have just been able to work out and kind of refresh when August gets here. Now it's a whole new system. So trying to get them to buy into that and like having them parents trust me on that. I was like, you'll never doubt that I'm doing everything I can to get them ready. Like if we lose, that's on me because I could have done more. But if they win, it's because I'm already coaching such a great group of dudes. And like you're talking about pressure getting ready. Here's another thing. This program has been to the state championship 3 years in a row. And now I'm taking over. So you feel like there's a pretty heavy
Yeah.
burden on your shoulders to like, they're pretty much saying like this school has to go to the state championship no matter what. And so now I'm trying to take that in with this new group of guys and be like, all right, we're not rebuilding. We're just reloading. Next guy's up. Let's just try to keep building off the success that the former coach had, but kind of tweak some things here and there. Finally get over that hump. So you're talking about stress. I was like, I feel like I'm the most stressed coach in the state of Arkansas now with that kind of legacy to follow.
Do you, I'm curious to know, and you may not know the answer, I guess my question is, do you approach coaching as hey, we'll see where it leads me? Like, obviously I'm going to coach, but I don't know if it's going to be at the high school level. If I get an opportunity down the road, maybe I'll consider it. Or do you have specific goals that you would love to see yourself accomplish from a coaching perspective? Do you want to go to college? Do you want to go, to certain levels? Just how do you approach what your future may look like?
Yeah. I remember used to in college, I was like, all right, I'm just playing football because I want to be a coach. I was like, eventually I could go to college, but then I saw how them GAs time was spent. And I was like, that's how I'll start. I was like, no, thank you. That ain't for me. Like I did not, I was like, I was walking by their offices, seeing their cots in the office because they're not going home. I was like, no, I think I'm good at the high school level. And I could kind of like preach to these young boys about real world, real life and stuff. And I was like, I remember in my younger years, they didn't want to listen because being 22, right out of college, trying to tell them what to do, they're like, man, you're my age. We're peers. Get out of here with that. They didn't want to listen. But now that I'm older and I get that unk status, I feel like they're kind of grasping some more stuff. But I think I could still relate to them because I could still act young. I still take care of myself. So they're like, man, we didn't have a clue you were in your 30s. We thought you were in your 20s. I was like, yeah, this is what happens when you eat right and drink a
Yeah.
lot of water, you know? So like we have that good connection of I can still play with you, but when it's time to get serious, they know I'm serious. But like that's what I wanted. I wanted to go to college, and then I backtrack. All right, I want to stay in high school. It's like, all right, now I want to coach until I win a state championship. And so my first year coaching, we made it to the state semifinals. And then like by year 6 at a different school, we made it to the state semifinals again. And then now I'm here in year 11, and I kind of looking back, and it's like, yeah, winning a state championship would be great. But the older I get and the more my kids grow up, the more I'm realizing, okay, maybe that's not everything. Maybe God is putting me in these programs to reach out to these young men to just get them ready for life. So I was like, okay, if these kids can graduate and be successful, I think I played a decent part in that, me and the coaching staff. And so that's the next phase. It's like, all right, wins are great, championships are great, but being a great young man in society is even better in my eyes, because I see too many hood rats walking around here all the time, not doing anything with their lives. And I'm just like, what are y'all doing? Y'all didn't play sports. I know for a fact you didn't play sports, or you wouldn't be doing this, because sports help you get ready for that. It builds discipline. It builds character. So ultimately, that's kind of where I've aimed my goal towards, is just coach as long as I can, as long as I'm still enjoying helping these young men, I'm going to keep coaching.
Yeah. Isn't it cool, man? I love how you just broke that down. But isn't it cool as you get older? Like winning is fun. Like there's no,
Yes.
you can't deny that winning is fun and it makes everything more fun. But you do realize there's other little wins in the process along the way. And you almost learn, and most people do learn, that it's about the journey. It's really not about the top of the mountain. And you can look at coaches like Nick Saban, who's really good about that. I mean, obviously won so many championships,
Right.
but he really didn't seem to care. It was like,
It was always
hey,
a bigger picture.
yeah, like it's great that I helped he was more excited that he helped others get to where they maximize their potential. And then it was, hey, let's see if we can do it with another group of guys. And like his whole journey and mission was like, get these young men to see their potential and live up to it and work and realize what they can accomplish if they work hard and do amazing things. And that was his win, was seeing those young men accomplish what they really wanted to accomplish. It wasn't just getting a trophy at the end of the season, but it's cool how as you get older, you start to realize how
Yeah,
there's purpose changes a little bit.
your outlook changes as you get older. Like my favorite clip ever is the Julio Jones clip where he goes back to Alabama and he sees these young receivers acting a certain way and he pulls them to the side. And he's like, hey, we don't do that here. He's been out of Bama for 8-9 years and he's still saying, we don't do that here.
Yeah.
That's that lasting impact Saban had on his life. And he still carries that with him in his 30s. I was like, that is the coolest thing ever. Only Saban could do that to a program.
Yeah. Yeah. But it's cool, man. I think, and I'm sure as a coach, you look at that and say, okay, I want to have that type of impact. You know, obviously winning state championships is great. Want to accomplish it, want to have that feeling. I also want to see all the young men that I'm coaching be successful in life. And I want to hear them say, Coach, you were right when we're on a drive.
That's all I want to hear. You were right.
No. Well, Coach Lovell, it is so cool that I'm calling you that. Head coach Justin Lovell. Man, it's been really cool to see your success, and it's been really cool that we've been able to kind of catch up as we've been able to work together on this program as you've grown in your profession now to be a head coach. Books for Guys is growing. We're working with more athletes. We're interviewing guys like David Pollock. We were talking about Coach Simpson over at Southside, who's written some books, and a lot of coaches follow his schemes and methodology. But it's going to be really cool this fall when some of these programs we work with, like yours, these kids will be able to see guys like David Pollock or a Rennie Curran, who is an All-American linebacker, or maybe a Kirk Herbstreit. These guys they see on Saturdays and on TV who are successful athletes also really care about being smart and growing and learning and really trusting that process of life. It's going to be really cool to see what books maybe some of these young guys pick. I was joking too. I don't think it was at your school, but last year some kid picked a crypto book and I was like, of
I remember you
course.
telling me that. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm like, man, that's awesome. Like we're all trying to figure out crypto. It's really cool that a high school kid would think like, oh, I get to pick a book. I want to learn about crypto.
Yeah, so we had those guys, pick the sports books. And here's the one that stood out with me last year is like, I think even though we only did, I think maybe 4 or 5 player of the games.
Yeah.
They're all picking their sports books, but one of them, it stood out to me. He texted me what he wanted because I gave him the Books for Guys link. And I
Yeah.
was like, look, there's all these genres on there. Like, you could go through and pick whatever you want. He goes, well, what kind of sport? I was like, no, whatever you want, whatever's on your mind. And so he texts me what he wants. And I don't even remember the title of it, but it was along the outline of dealing with your mental strength and like struggling through your inner self and like
That's right.
developing that mental. And I was like, oh man, but I pulled him aside. I was like, man, that's a great book. I was like, what made you want to choose that? He goes, well, no, there's some days where I'm just not feeling myself or I don't want to do anything. He's like, that's why I miss school. And it looked like it clicked to me. I was like, well, read the first chapter and let me know what you think. So that kind of like created a little connection with him. Like before practice, I was like, hey, how'd that chapter go? Did you read any last night? What did you take away from it? And then all of a sudden you see the spike in his attendance at school. So it's like something as simple as just one book because he'd had a really good game
Yeah.
now changed his outlook on life. He's working on his mental strength, his mental toughness. And I was like, gosh, that's what it's all about right there. That
Dang.
helped these kids out. And so if you'd have never reached out to me, who knows what would have ended up, how he would have ended up, like would he still be in school? So just
Yeah.
because you reached out Books for Guys and we picked him to be a player of the game, his whole life got changed around. And so that's
Man.
what I want to finish with right there. That
Yeah.
was awesome.
That's super cool, man. Because actually, I didn't know that, and but you're right, man. It's crazy to think that like some little thing can totally change your world in a positive way. And I don't remember the title, but it was a personal development book, and I was like, oh man,
Right.
that's pretty cool. Like, kid's probably gonna get a lot out of this, and it sounds like he did. It
He
was
did.
really cool, and hopefully, we'll be able to have more kids have those kind of moments. And again, man, it's so cool. I want these guys to experience that. But like, why wait 6, 7 years when you're out of college and you're in your professional life to start figuring out how to become smarter? Like, why don't you get this
Right.
mindset and learn some of these things when you're 18? And dude, maybe you probably make more money by the time you're 25. You'll have a
Exactly.
better outlook. You'll have different thoughts. You'll be smarter than your peers, and you're going to be able to level up a lot quicker, no matter what you decide to do. And so, man, I appreciate you letting us have the opportunity to work with your program in this way and to provide these books. And dude, it's gonna be really cool to see I'm excited as your friend to see your career grow and just see all that you
Yeah.
get to accomplish and all the people you get to have an impact on. And so, man, we're a part of your journey and really appreciate you being a part of ours.
Well, thanks for reaching out. Thanks for still allowing us to join you on this and like reach out to these kids a little bit better. Now, this school might be a little struggle with it, but bear with me. Like, I'm going to get them on board with it. Like, hey, it ain't got to be a long book. If you want to pick a picture book, I don't
Yeah,
care.
yeah, take a
But
picture
let's
book.
start somewhere. Let's start somewhere. But I think these guys so far, they've embraced everything I've thrown at them that's been new. So I think when I throw this at them when the school starts, I think they'll be like, oh, that's pretty cool. Like, you're telling me I get a free book? Okay, like, let's go.
Yeah, pick what you want, man.
Yeah. And they're all about that free stuff. Let me tell you.
Well, man, I appreciate it. Good luck this season, and we'll talk soon, Coach.
All right. Thanks for having me.